Hey Luis, taking a look at your work here for this week, so let's get into it. So I'm just going to go through it again, section by section, and we'll take a look. I will give like phoneme shape notes at this point, I think. Anyways, all right. So I feel like this is still like feeling a little like all connected and all moving at the same time between like the chest, the neck, and the head. So if we could break that up by maybe leading with the head and neck a little bit, that would be great. I'm feeling the same thing here on this like this pull back up here. Like that chest, neck, and head all kind of hit at the same time. So maybe the chest could hit first. You know, this rotation back hits first, this hits second, and this hits third, just by like a few frames to offset those things to make it feel kind of like loose. But I will focus in on the lip sync. I really like this D shape that you're hitting here. We're getting a lot of like horseshoe teeth in here, but maybe we'll leave that. But if there's any way to kind of clean up this upper lip shape, that would be great here. Maybe we can just make it a little more simple and lose like that little bump. I'll just try to turn it into more of like a simplified curve. All right, cool. All this seems to be working. Sorry. Let me figure out how to pan here. Here we go. Maybe, if possible, we could lower the lips down a little bit lower so that where the teeth mesh is more like a 50%. So like this line here remains a little bit more less like, because right now it feels like this is super upper teeth heavy, that space there. So maybe we can get it more like where the teeth mesh. I don't know if you have translation on the teeth themselves, but that would be a nice little cleanup maybe to hit. I feel like especially the biggest note is on heroes, that this should be kind of a smaller ooh shape here when you go into superheroes. Because right now it's like it's really big and I'm missing this little kind of like, maybe this is too small, but you know, on heroes, on the O part of heroes, I would imagine it would get kind of small. Cool. I would keep the P shape closed for a little bit more than just like one frame. Maybe try to get 2 frames here if you can. And there's something about the design of this mouth shape that feels a little off. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I'm losing this whole side of the mouth. So, and I'm not saying that this is the shape of the kid's mouth. But maybe it's something a little bit more. Maybe this is too wide. But maybe we can see the backside of that mouth a little bit more. I don't know if you're like trying to force perspective on that, but it feels like, you know, this is running the center line of the lip here. On the upper lip is centered here, and the lower lip feels centered here. So it feels like there's something happening in this shape specifically that may need to have a little bit. Maybe there's something you can do too to kind of like try to clean up this shape here to make it a little more rounded, because right now it feels like there's a lot of complexity going on in there. And then here we're seeing a ton of bottom teeth. And then a ton of like this area of the mouth here is visible. And I'm not sure if that can be cleaned up to like superheroes, you know, as being something, you know, it's okay to show a little bit of that inside stuff. But maybe we can get a little bit more even on the teeth with like the lip placement. Here too, like we're seeing a ton of this these lower teeth. So you may want to correct that by moving the teeth up and down, or maybe you want to adjust the lips to show the proper amount of teeth. Also, we're seeing a little bit of complexity, kind of like this, in this lip shape, and maybe it can just be something just a little bit more smooth, a little simpler of a curve in there. Would have a little bit more appeal. And then the he, I really want to see this he, because it'd be nice to see this for like 2 frames, or at least bias one of the frames around it closer to it. So when we're doing a he, you know, we're really seeing this corner stretch out here and here, you know, and hold that for a little bit. Like, so a cleaner shape a little bit. And then for a B, we really want to close the lips fully. You know, he believed in them. We want to feel like the compression of the bottom jaw and the lower lip into this upper lip, and we may want to hold that for like 1 more frame, so that even the next one, we're really feeling that compression of the lower lip and the upper lip, kind of like pushing into this compression. And we're going to see that in the jaw too, you know. And then this is all lower teeth here. So just take a pass through all this stuff and try to design it a little bit more appealing, with like either how the lips go up and down or how the teeth are represented in here, like I showed in the class demo, about how to kind of like, you know, maybe you want the lower teeth to be, you know, more just like this, rather than filling up the entirety of the bottom. But anyways, I'm sure you get the idea. It's very similar to stuff from class. Maybe you just haven't had time to like get to it yet, which is fine. But yeah, that's a nice. That seems to work really well there in that part. So I'll take a look at her phoneme shapes. Okay, that's great. These are not heroes. I think like right around here, we need to see some kind of like smaller shape. Maybe it's not an ooh shape perfectly like that, but we got to see the mouth making that R shape here. Rose, it's kind of like a much smaller circular kind of shape. Again, you got to find the right shape that works for your rig and model, but could potentially be something like this. You know what I mean? Maybe we see a little indication of teeth here, maybe not. Doesn't matter. Whatever works, whatever you find works. But we need to see a tighter kind of like ooh shape for the R, right? Heroes. And then opening it up into like this kind of ooh shape is going to work great. So this little like dip of the lower lip, I know you're trying to hit the F, like if they were, if, but it feels like it's just kind of hitting it for one frame and bouncing out of it. And that this lip is really meant to be like bitten by the top teeth. You know what I mean? So, and I don't know that you need to go this extreme for this F sound and shape, is to like bite it with the top teeth and stuff. But either way, like that little lip darting in doesn't really work if you're not gonna hit, like bite it with the upper teeth. And at the beginning of the whir, I feel like we need like a tighter U shape here than this big one. This big one is great for the whir kind of part after it opens up, but to get ready to make that W. Yeah, this is nice here. I really like this shape at this moment. That's fantastic. I don't think the corners going out here for your is helping you, because were and your, I see you're going. Yeah, I can see that. I see what you're doing. There's just something about this shape feels odd. Like I'm seeing a lot of like the inside of the bottom lip here. This is what it feels like. It could just be the lighting. So if the geo is actually like solid and stuff, forgive me, but it feels like we're seeing like a flat plane on that bottom of the lip right there on that shape. So the top lip may need to have a little more attention. This would be a great one to get that little overlap of the upper teeth on the lip here. You know what I mean? That F sound for father, because she's gonna. Yeah, like you can see this upper lip like translating forward in Z depth here. This is nice, but I want to see this like more closed, like try to close up any of the gaps and compress this and see, like, I don't know, this upper lip feels like it's got Botox in it or something. Like it feels really puffy. It doesn't feel like it's being compressed. So you really got to like design these shapes carefully by hand, I think. Let's see how it plays overall.
These are not heroes. If they were, your father would still be here. These are not heroes. If they were, your father would still be here. These are not.
All right, cool. I think this is really a sharp move here. So when you get in here to the body stuff, like if we're tracing the arc of the nose, let me switch because this is almost like a different topic. So I'm going to switch colors. Like if you look at your spacing here throughout this move, and this is approximate, of course. So there's no exact landmark on the nose to track. But here it's like little, and then it like really shoots down pretty quickly and almost has the exact same spacing here, here, and then it just immediately shoots up. So I think like we need to ease in to the move and like a little bit more of an ease out, and then we go up and come back down. And even on the reverse of the coming up, And coming down, it feels like we need to ease in and ease out. Whenever we're like changing direction, whenever we're like, you know, going from one direction to another, we need to have like that ease in and ease out to show that things have like weight and that there's kind of like that continuity of motion. And then when I'm looking at your eye mask throughout this bit,
Not heroes. If they were,
there's like these two blinks really close to each other, and they seem kind of forced, you know what I mean? Like, so maybe just one blink.
heroes. If they were, you're
So I'll just look at the first one. But where the eyes meet kind of gives this like anime happy impression to me. So I would bias the top lid lower, right? And I would try to get either a flatter arch or maybe even one that's down in the other direction. You know what I mean? And then I would also tie in the eyebrows to this blink just a little bit. They need to also come down slightly so that the whole face, this whole eye mask here, looks like connected. And right now it just feels like the eyes are going and the eyebrows aren't doing anything. I'm not sure if the cheeks are doing anything as well. But even with this closed position, kind of like redesigned, I would hold it closed for 2 frames. Nothing should really, no pose should really be hit for 1 frame, either with the mouth or the eyes or anything, so that we kind of get a sense of it. And then this second blink, I would take this out entirely because the 2 blinks are like so close to each other. They're so close to each other. And then I'm having a little trouble reading like the intention. Like here, the lower lid goes up really high, which I don't disagree with or whatever, because that looks like pretty mad or desperate or something. But then she comes out of it here. I'm not really sure if there's been like an emotion change or an expression change or like why we're coming out of it. So I would pick one of these 2 poses to be in, or maybe, you know, an in-between kind of state to be in, rather than switching from one to the other. It feels kind of like unmotivated and unjustified, although maybe there's thought process behind that that I'm unaware of.
father would still be here. These are not heroes. If they were, your father would still be here. These are not heroes. If they
Okay, let me take one more look through the whole thing.
Dad? Dad loved superheroes. He believed in them.
These are not heroes. If they were, your father would still be here.
And I think some of my previous notes maybe haven't been addressed quite yet, which is fine. Like one is this like this awkward hand rotation there still kind of grabs my attention. The way that
Not heroes. If they were,
her arm in this section feels like a little floaty. Like it kind of just like drifts down off screen throughout this section.
your father would still be here.
And yeah, a lot of this stuff maybe is still feeling like it needs just a little bit of offsetting and stuff. Like I talked about parts on this character. A lot of it feels like it lands on the exact same frame, you know. And this feels like it lacks a little bit of like ease out, right? Because it goes for tracking the spacing on this. It just kind of freezes. You know, it goes up and comes down and just kind of like locks into place. So anyways, keep going, keep moving forward. It's looking better every week. And I look forward to seeing your progress next week. All right, I will see you in class.